Hello and welcome to Flutzes and Waxels, a figure skating podcast to satisfy all of your skating news, analysis, and recap needs. I'm Mary Margaret Mertzos.
And I'm Alicia Mertzos, and we're sisters with a lifelong love for figure skating, practicing, watching, and discussing. So let's delve deep into what's happened in the skating world this week.
So in this episode, we will wrap up the final
Skate
discipline
America.
of Skate America. It's hard to believe it's already over, and we're leaving for Montreal very, very soon for the next one.
Yeah, in like 36 hours, we leave for Montreal. That's a little crazy.
It is. It always goes by fast once you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So our last discipline to recap is the pairs. The pairs are always the shortest in terms of number of entrants.
Yes.
But this was definitely an interesting competition. Lots of last minute switches in terms of teams and kind of an open field in a lot of ways, which led to some interesting results here.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that most people didn't expect the bulk of the results.
Yeah.
I think most of us predicted the top of the podium.
Yeah, that one was pretty easy.
That one was pretty easy, but everything below that was sort of up for grabs.
Mm-hmm. So let's get right into it. Our winners here were Evgenia Tarasova and Vladimir Morozov from Russia, who, were expected to come in with a win here. Although they were not as clean as I think most people, myself included, would have thought that they might be.
They were strong, but they did have quite a few mistakes, and a lot of their elements were not as strong as they have been in the past.
Yeah, little things like, the side-by-side jumps she had some real struggles with, especially in the free skate. And then even just things like struggling a little bit on the throws, which usually they're pretty strong. There were just a couple little messy spots, which we're not as used to seeing from them.
And their lifts weren't looking as comfortable. And we are well aware of all of the changes that were made for the lifts for pairs.
Yeah.
And so that definitely contributes to it. But I wouldn't have expected these two in particular to really need to do much to continue to get their levels on the lifts, because usually they do, 6 points for a level so that they can mess one up and still get a level 4.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised to see them struggling a little bit more.
Yeah, it is early in the season, and obviously they just recently got a new short program that they debuted at Finlandia. So it might just be that they're still working out the kinks in, new lifts and new programs, and also to some extent new coaching now that they're working with Maxim Trankov. They were working with him a bit before, but it's still, a bit of a newer situation for them.
Yeah, and for all we know, he wants to change 800 things about their skating, and there is all sorts of stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. That said, 2 pretty good skates.
Yeah, for sure. And the short program grew on me a little bit here. I think for both of their programs, they really need to skate clean to be fully effective. But, you can see what they're going for with both of these programs. And I think it's a good dichotomy to show off 2 different sides of their skating. And I think they both have the potential. They just need to work on ironing things out. Yeah.
Yeah. And in particular, the one problem that I have with this particular upbeat number is they're doing all the right things with their bodies, and they look very serious in the face the whole time.
Well, and more so him. She has moments where she sort of comes in and out of the character, but she, shows a bit more performance ability than him, and she sort of seems to enjoy it a bit more than he does.
Yeah, you can tell that the fun programs are for her and not for him. But it does hinder the performance a little bit when that is missing. It doesn't have to be huge and over the top, but if you've got your resting tango face in an upbeat number, it really looks like you're trying much harder than you might be.
Yeah. And it might just be that they were trying hard here to, remember the choreography for this new program and work on the side-by-side jumps, which definitely were a bit of an issue here.
And then nailing the throws, which were fine, but
we've seen better from them, and we sort of expect better from them.
Nowhere near as good as their lifts are capable of being.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on paper, these two should kind of be a shoe-in for, next
Most
world
events.
champions.
Yeah,
most events they go into, unless, Sui and Han come back at the last minute or something. But even then, they should be dominant. But when you have little mistakes creeping in, it opens the door, which you don't want to be doing.
Yeah, and I mean, a huge decisive victory for them here.
Yeah.
But we knew that.
Yeah, they weren't really competing against anyone who, as of yet in their careers, could really compete. Yeah. And there are other teams out there that they probably won't face until the Grand Prix final who could pose a threat to them.
This was more a competition against themselves than their competitors this week, because it would have had to have been quite a disaster for them to be really close to almost anybody else here.
Yeah. Second place were Elisa Efimova and Alexander Korovin from Russia. And so I still think there's so much potential to these two. But once again, we unfortunately saw silly mistakes popping in the short program mainly. She struggled a lot with the side-by-side jumps in both programs. But that sort of seems to be a consistent struggle of hers. The sillier thing is that final side-by-side spin that I don't know what happened with him, but he totally got out of sorts. Yeah, lost his balance, lost the edge, and lost a bunch of levels and a bunch of GOE.
He was fortunate, though, to be fair to him, to be able to hold it together well enough to not get it invalidated altogether.
Yes, that is true.
Because it very nearly was invalidated.
Yeah.
If he had messed up just a little bit more, they would have gotten a big fat 0 for it.
And that probably would have moved them down a place if that had happened.
So in this one particular case, the 2V is okay.
Yes. It was, he salvaged it as best he could, but this is the second competition in a row with some of these sort of silly mistakes. Last time it was a fluke fall in the step sequence. And obviously the side-by-side jumps are a chronic issue for her, but what made the difference here, in spite of those mistakes, was all of their other elements are just so strong.
All of their other elements are excellent. I think at this point, one of the biggest factors is going to be nerves for them.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when you make a silly mistake, one of two things is happening. You are too comfortable or you are super nervous.
Yeah.
And I don't imagine that they are too comfortable in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is their first senior Grand Prix, so...
They're Russian, but Russia's not that crazy yet.
Yeah, there's a lot to admire in them, though, especially in their lifts are fantastic.
The lifts are gorgeous.
Yeah, and their throws are really pretty strong. The twist is very strong. And, as long as they can avoid silly mistakes and sort of limit the detriment of the side-by-side jumps as much as possible.
If we only under-rotate or fall on the side-by-side jumps, I think that's what we need to be aiming for with these two, at least right now.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's sort of their aim internationally. In Russia, of course, it's way more cutthroat, ironically, than it kind of is internationally.
Yeah, I mean, if they can get out of Russia, this is the kind of result that they can expect if they skate as well as they're capable.
Well, and it'll be interesting now that they have a silver medal here that puts them in line for the Grand Prix final. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they can make it there, because this puts them in a good spot.
Please don't panic.
Yeah.
Because the thing for them is, if they make it to the final, the likelihood of them getting more assignments outside of Russia later this season and next season goes up exponentially if you can make it into the final. Doesn't matter what you do at the final. The fact that you made it there means a lot for the Russian selection committee.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what they'll do in their second event. Yeah. And hopefully we'll see... some polishing up, leave out the silly mistakes, and hopefully work on the side-by-side jumps. I'm sure they're very focused on it.
I'm sure that is priority one now, is fixing those side-by-side jumps.
Yeah.
Because that really is their only flaw, except for dumb mistakes.
Well, and I was about to say a bit of inexperience, because I think those come in because they are so young and haven't competed internationally a ton.
which, you know, the only cure for that is more international competition.
Exactly.
And they are well on their way to getting more.
Yep. Third place were Ashley Kane and Timothy LeDuc from the U.S., who came pretty close to second place here.
Yeah.
They were behind a little bit after the short program with a rare fall by Timothy on the loops. Usually, you know, if anyone is going to fall in a side-by-side jump, it's her. We're used to him sort of being the rock of the partnership.
We don't see Timothy on his butt very often. He is usually solidly on his feet. And it was a little surprising to see him fall on that loop.
I do almost wonder if he especially was nervous here. He looked a little bit shaky all weekend long. And other than the fall on the loop, he was able to hold it together pretty well and, you know, get past some, you know, scratchy landings in the free skate and
some scary lifts.
Yeah, some scary lift beginnings. You know, he was able to get past all of that, but he definitely wasn't looking quite as confident as we've seen from him in the past.
I wouldn't be surprised if it came down to the fact that they were competing against the Knierim this weekend.
Yes. Struggling for position in their own country. Yeah.
Those two at the moment seem to be the top two contenders for that U.S. #1 spot.
Yeah.
There are a ton of other teams that could potentially take that spot.
Mm-hmm. But these two are sort of the most high profile at the moment.
Yeah. And barring somebody coming out of kind of nowhere, it's probably going to be these two at or near the top of that U.S. Nationals podium. So coming in and off the bat, basically having to compete against your top national competitor.
Yeah. Well, and it's important to remember, lest we all forget, that the U.S. only has one spot at Worlds for the pairs. So you got to make your case now if you want it.
Yep. The U.S. nationals might not be enough.
Yeah.
You've got to consistently show that, no, I can deliver. I can do this. And they are off to a great start.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they've medaled at all three of their events so far, 2 golds and a bronze. And this was, you know, a bronze in a bit of a tougher field here too. They obviously were thrilled with the result. And I really do think that with a bit of more time, they have a couple weeks before their next event, and they said they were going to go to Russia ahead of time to do some training there. I think that'll help them, and I hope that we can see some better skates there. I don't know whether it'll be quite enough to get them into the final, because that's going to be a real tough field in Russia. But even just being in consideration for it is a big feat.
If they can get on that first 3 alternates, that really makes a good case for for the U.S. pairs. Because unlike in Russia, where you have to make it into the final to make that case, in the U.S., the pairs aren't really strong enough to be expected to make the final.
Yeah, basically you got to be the best of the American pairs. Yeah. And whether that means getting into the final or being an alternate or just being the highest in the final ranking, that's what it's going to take.
I do think if they continue to skate the way that they have been skating with a little bit of improvement, they'll probably be on the bubble for that Grand Prix final.
Yeah.
Because they got stuck with Rastelecom, it's going to be tough to get into the final, but I wouldn't be surprised, assuming all goes well, knock wood, to see these two as the first or second alternate.
Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, there are so many new teams that it's hard to say for sure, but I think they definitely have the potential to be. And have 2 really strong programs here. And
so many really strong qualities.
Yeah.
And the new addition of Russian coaching is definitely helping.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, I imagine makes them feel a bit more at home skating in Russia. Yeah. So I imagine that should help too.
Well, and they've been training with Tarasova and Morozov off and on, which makes it easier to then go and compete against them because you know exactly what they're about to do.
Yeah, and don't feel intimidated by, you know, skating against somebody you skate with regularly.
Yeah, you can be friendly competitors as opposed to just competitors.
Mm-hmm. 4th place here were Alexa Sameka-Knierim and Chris Knierim, who finished not too far off the podium. It was actually a pretty close thing. They did obviously have some issues as well, mainly with the side-by-side jumps, which Alexa was really having trouble with here, with a couple of downgrades.
Just a really rough fall as well.
Yeah, just the sows, especially for her, just looked really rough. Like a total sort of lack of, like it didn't launch properly ever.
She seems to be, okay, we're going to get technical here for a second. When you do a sow jump, you're pivoting forwards because, as we discussed in one
men's,
I think it was the men or ladies, we discussed pre-rotation. Sows require pre-rotation. So you pivot on your toe and you want to basically, with your bottom toe pick, draw a little check mark for your takeoff. So you've got your curved edge, you pivot to forwards with a little bit of movement, and then leap up into the air. She seems to be missing that check mark and slipping off the back of her blade.
Yeah, they seem really just wild. I wouldn't be surprised if they're changing around the technique because, like we've said, it's really hard to change your jumping technique. It takes a lot of time and lots of mistakes along the way. Yeah. And it really looks like it's a work in progress, but they definitely were not at the completed stage here.
Yeah.
She had a couple of severely forward landings.
Yeah, if this is a matter of changing jump technique, I'm a little concerned because when you're changing jump technique and we're at the beginning of the season, we shouldn't be at the completely forward wiping out and slamming into the board stage when we're in the Grand Prix. Although that's concerning.
It is. I do wonder if part of it for them as well came down to nerves after having a really rough end to their season, having a lot of struggles before the Olympics and tons of pressure on them to, regain U.S. spots.
And then we throw in the
drama,
coaching
the
drama.
Coaching. Yeah, I guess we should just mention quickly. I'm sure you've heard by now, but apparently their coaching situation with Alyona Savchenko is no more. How exactly that all played out, nobody knows for sure.
I'm going to air quote and paraphrase because I don't remember the exact wording that they used, but it was basically differences in training style and training intensity. And it sounds like, we all know Alyona's a beast. So it sounds like maybe she was looking for them to train harder, more days, and they were thinking, but we've got to compete on the weekend. We can't do that and have the major muscle fatigue and then go out and compete.
Yeah.
That would be my speculation as to what is probably the issue.
And I mean, it's important to remember too, everybody, including us, got excited when we heard that the Knirams would be working with Alyona. Yeah. But it's important to remember that she has never been a serious high-level coach before. Yeah. I imagine she's done some lower-level coaching, but
and we know she's done some choreography for senior pairs, and I imagine probably had a significant hand in working through the choreography.
Yeah, but it's different being a part of a coaching team and being someone's main coach. And, stepping right into that, I can only imagine there's lots of...
There's a learning
figuring
curve.
It out. Yeah, there's a big learning curve. And the Knirams were sort of her experiment in a way. And maybe the experiment didn't go the way either of them really hoped.
Or it could have even been... usually when you switch coaches, there was a very frank discussion about what the plan is.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't have that frank discussion because both of them assumed that, so-and-so knows what it's going to be like. It's fine. We don't need to even talk about it.
Yeah.
And making sure that the stage is set from the off and you are very frank and blunt.
And you're all on the same page.
And to err in the direction of too harsh over easing the blow, because it is always better for them to expect worse than they get.
Yeah, was obviously unfortunate timing as well that they were sort of alone here. They're looking for new coaches, and then all the media was asking them about what was happening, and that's a huge distraction from the actual skating, added on top of, the pressure of expectation at home. That I'm not really surprised that we saw a rough skate from them here. They also had a rough skate at Finlandia when they were still working with Alyona. So it, wasn't totally surprising to me here to see some of the side-by-side jump issues and even some falls on the throws as well.
Yeah, and again, some rough lifts The lifts are really rough this year. I'm not enjoying that. I understand why we need to change the requirements for levels every once in a while, but with pair lifts, certain pairs make me nervous to begin with.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with these two going forward. I don't really know what to expect, but I hope that we can see them grow back into the confidence that they had a few seasons ago, because the potential is there. I sort of think they just need to get away from all the distractions.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, though, this is going to be a tough season for them.
Yeah.
Because they've lost their coach.
Yeah.
And that is really tough, especially when you're skating 6 or 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. And that person is a huge part of your life, even if it's just for a few months. It's a breakup.
Yeah.
And you need the time to emotionally process that split.
Well, and also figure out your game plan, because they are still competing. They're still,
it's not the end of the season or even, the Christmas break. Mm-hmm. It would be much easier to do this at the end of the season, in the middle of the summer, or at Christmas. Mm-hmm. But it happened during the Grand Prix, which is going to be a huge challenge. And I hope that they can overcome it.
Yeah, we will see them again in a few weeks, and I don't really know what to expect. I just hope that we can see better from them, because I think as well, the programs are really strong, mm-hmm. and I would love to see them skated clean and to see them have that confidence back.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to 5th place. Minerva Fabienne Haas and Nolan Siegert from Germany. And I was so thrilled for these two having the only clean skate mm-hmm. of the short program. They skated really well there. The free skate, we had a few mistakes coming in, which was unfortunate. But I think this was a really great start to their season, and also winning over their teammates,
Yeah, pretty decisively as well.
Yeah, it's a great way to start. Even finishing 5th place here is no small feat.
Yeah.
And, some little things to work on, obviously, but even just from, I believe it was Nebelhorn was their first competition of the season. Even just from there's been a big improvement. Yeah,
they've got much stronger confidence in their choreography.
Yeah.
And the choreography at this point is feeling like second nature. And so they're mm-hmm. only thinking about things like the side-by-side jumps, which were great in the short program, mm-hmm. and they struggled with a good bit in the free skate.
Yeah.
And things like the throws they struggled with as well. But
you just got to, build up that stamina, build up your comfort with the programs, and also competing internationally.
And not panic when you're in podium position after the short program.
Yes.
Moral of Skate America.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of people who were in podium position or close to it have a panic moment, or seem to after that. I think these two had a little bit of that.
I mean, to be fair to them, if I was in that position, you come into Skate America, there's 2 Russian teams mm-hmm. and 3 American teams.
Yep. And you're competing against your, German teammates as well.
And there's a Canadian pair team, which we will get to. Canadian pairs are known for being very strong. Mm-hmm. So you come into this field, you're thinking, okay, this is going to be really tough. Maybe your goal is to just beat your German teammates, or to not mm-hmm. be last, or whatever your goal is. Or whatever your
score goal is.
Yeah. And then you do your short program, and you're relatively early on, and then at the end of the short program you realize, wait a second, we're in 3rd. Mm-hmm. We're not just in the 2nd flight at our first Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. We're in 3rd.
In podium position.
All we have to do is hold on to this place, and we have a Grand Prix medal.
Yep.
It's completely understandable that you panic a little bit.
Yeah.
If you didn't panic a little bit at that point, I don't know if you're human.
It's nerves of steel if you can do that. But I mean, this is, you've had the experience now. We can hopefully learn from it. They do have a second event, and I'm excited to see them. I really enjoyed their short program.
Their short program was great.
Yeah.
And the free skate has a lot of potential, mm-hmm. but
just need to work out the jump mistakes and all that.
The stamina.
Yeah.
Stamina is number 1.
Yeah. 6th place were Nika Digernes and Danny Nudiker from the U.S., And these two as well had a couple of generally pretty strong skates.
Yeah.
I thought they handled themselves generally pretty well. They were, the sort of the third ranked US team coming in here, which is kind of a tough position to be in. It's their first senior Grand Prix as well. They also have issues with the side-by-side jumps. But they have sort of a nice relationship with each other. I like them as a pair on the ice. I really just hope that they stick it out. A lot of these U.S. pairs, that's always my main hope, is just don't give up.
Yeah.
You got to push through the tough years.
5 years minimum.
You got to give it time. It's not going to happen immediately.
A full Olympic cycle to get comfortable, plus an extra year for good measure. Because that is the thing with pairs especially. You have to have 100% trust.
Yep.
And very few pair girls especially can have 100% trust from the off. It takes a few years to get there.
Yeah.
Be patient. You will get there. Work on your side-by-side jumps.
Yeah. But
because you've got some time now.
Yeah.
This is a great time to work on your side-by-side jumps. But everything else is pretty strong. Mm-hmm. There are other things to work on, but most of the other stuff is pretty solid.
Yeah, and there are so many teams that have issues with the side-by-side jumps that I'm not even really that concerned about it. Obviously, you want to work on it.
You've got time now, so work on it.
Yeah.
But, you'll be fine. You'll do great at U.S. Nationals.
I was about to say, I'll be really interested to see where they stack up at U.S. Nationals, because there are a lot of teams going to be there, and a lot of new teams as well.
And a lot of teams with the exact same problems.
Yeah.
So it's all going to depend on who does what on the day.
Yeah.
But they're going to be in that fight for, that pewter medal or just below.
Yeah. 7th place were Annika Hocke and Ruben Blomert from Germany. And unfortunately, these two definitely struggled, especially in the free skate. It was really too bad to see because they really had a great season last year. And they as well, I believe he has been struggling with injury in the off season, and they didn't quite look fully prepared for this event, which is a shame.
Yeah, they looked a little nervous sort of from the off, and every mistake made it a little worse.
Yeah, especially in that free skate, everything just seemed to spiral out of control. And their layout as well is unforgiving in some ways, like having throws right at the end. And the group 3 lift, which unfortunately didn't go up. That's a really tough sort of entry into it. It went up, I should say, but it was aborted before got really any levels on there. So it was only a B, which, it could be worse, but
you got something for it.
Yeah.
Which, as far as aborted lifts go, you didn't get a fall deduction.
Yeah.
And you got something for it.
And nobody got hurt.
And nobody died. So we are all good.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't do it again. But in that moment when something goes wrong, you did what you could.
Yeah. I think it just needs more time, more practice, more mileage. And obviously they're coming, with a bit of that in deficit compared to some of the other teams.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if they can, sort of improve their elements, how they'll stack up against their German teammates.
Yeah. The biggest thing I think that these two need to work on is their twist.
Yeah.
They had some real problems with it in that free skate, only getting credit for the double twist.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was just a weird, I don't know what happened there.
Something went horribly wrong with that twist.
Yeah.
But their triple twist, even in the short program, wasn't very strong. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't... The way it went wrong was surprising, but the fact that the twist went wrong to open their free skate was not super surprising.
Yeah. I do wonder, too, if having that just weird twist to open the program threw them off for the rest of it.
It didn't help. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it definitely didn't help. And that's why it'll be interesting to see in their next event what they look like, because... I can imagine it only goes up from here. Yeah,
without that weird twist thing, first of all, they would have had a good few extra points. And they would have been, in that fight, at least with Diggerness and Nudeker. If not, maybe even a little closer to Haas and Siegert if only because it would improve the PCS because they would be more confident, and maybe the other elements because they would be more confident.
Yeah. And then 8th place here were Evelyn Walsh and Trent Michaud. This was a really tough one, unfortunately.
I am so sad for them because they have it all. Everything is there, and they just couldn't quite get it together.
To me, Evelyn just looked out of sorts.
Yeah.
The whole competition. None of her side-by-side jumps were working. A lot of the throws she was really struggling with. Even the dismount from the one lift in the free skate, she had a moment of almost falling over. At least he still had a hold on her and she didn't go over. But she just looked out of sorts. And I don't know why. I hope that they are another team who's going to be doing back-to-back events. We're going to see them this next weekend in a couple of days at Skate Canada. I really hope they can have a better outing there, because this, just really didn't show what we know they're capable of.
The biggest thing for me was she didn't have the fight that she normally has. Like, a lot of times, the side-by-side jumps or the throws don't go great, but she is fighting for that landing. Yeah. And she's slamming her foot down so she doesn't fall, or she's, getting that super deep knee bend and struggling to stand back up. But that fight didn't seem to be in her.
Yeah, that's why it just was kind of a weird event for her, especially in general. He was looking still, generally solid in, the lifts and the side-by-side jumps and things. He just sort of looked concerned for her,
He looked
watching out of the side of his eye.
Their little bit of an age gap is useful in a lot of ways, but it also seems to have him be a little bit extra protective over her. Yeah. I mean, especially, she's only 17 at their first senior Grand Prix. They're one of Canada's top pair teams now. Yeah. Which is extra tremendous pressure. Yeah. And so he seemed to sort of be constantly worrying about her, not necessarily like looking at her and checking in, but you could almost feel him thinking about what she was doing. Yeah.
It's good to have that concern for your partner, but I almost wonder sometimes if it makes the partner feel a little nervous too.
You gotta just get your job done. Yeah. And hope that your partner is doing it right and trust your training. Yeah. Trust yourselves. Yeah. Everything is going to be fine this weekend. Everything is going to be good.
I really hope so. I mean, it's going to be tough doing back-to-back events, but sort of now, I don't know. I almost feel like they have nothing to lose now. They've had the really rough go of it. They've gotten the first one under their belts and it didn't go well. So, who cares? Just throw everything at the wall this week and see what happens.
You've already been last in a Grand Prix event. Yeah. It can't get worse. Yeah. Unless you hurt yourselves, which
I was about to say, knock wood, that it's not going to get worse. But in terms of like placement and your overall experience, it can't get much worse. So, just say, screw it. Let's just go and go for it.
And you're going to be at home. We will be in the crowd screaming for you.
All the Canadian crowd will be there screaming, I'm sure.
Trust me. The crowd will be loud and on your side and begging you to land all your jumps and throws.
And even if you don't, they'll be on your side anyway.
They'll be louder if you fall and pop back up. Yeah. Canadian crowds are very nice, especially to Canadian pair teams. Yeah. So you should be just fine. Trust yourselves, trust your training. And we'll see you literally the day after tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... Just got to chalk it up to experience and not quite forget about it. You still want to learn from these things, but don't worry yourselves too much about it either.
Accept that you made some mistakes, figure out where they came from, and then chuck this competition in the trash.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that wraps up the pairs here. What was your highlight from this week's event?
I think I have to give it to Haas and Siegert. They wowed me in that short program.
It was definitely the skate of the night for me.
I was expecting the Russian pairs to be great. I was expecting the American pairs to be entertaining and strong. I was not expecting these two. Yeah. They really wowed me because I wasn't ready.
Yep. I'm really excited to see them again for sure. I think I have to give it then to Kane and Leduc's free skate. which it's a really great program for them. It was good to see the fight from him, especially. It wasn't an easy program, but they fought through the whole thing. And of course, her reaction at the end was just fantastic.
Priceless. Yep. They earned every point they got, and they fought for every point they got. And you got to respect that.
Yep. And then for the weekly Waxel, got to give it to Timothy LeDuc's triple loop fall, because that probably would have been the difference between silver and bronze here.
It would have been just about enough.
Yeah. Still, though, I think they obviously look thrilled with the overall result, and I'm excited to see them at Brest-Telecom.
This is their first Grand Prix medal.
Yep.
Hopefully first of many. Off to a good start.
Exactly. All right, so that wraps up all of Skate America. And as we said, in about 36 hours, we will be headed to Montreal for the next event.
We will be almost in Montreal in 36 hours from when we're recording this.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's really exciting, first of all.
Yep.
It's our third Grand Prix event that we're going to watch. And, yeah, if you're also going to be there in Montreal, come and say hi.
Yeah, we will be in section 111 and, around basically all weekend watching things.
On Thursday, we might not be in our seats.
Well, yes. We like to roam during the practices, because why not?
You can, so why not? If you want to come and say hi and you don't see us in section 111, send us a Twitter or Instagram message, and we will tell you where we are.
Yes, we still have pins, so if you want them, you got to come find us. And as we mentioned, we're not bringing the whole podcasting studio with us, so we'll be doing some stuff on YouTube. When exactly we'll,
we will let you know.
We'll let you know
with as much advance notice as we can. What we'll probably wind up doing is recording from our Airbnb in Montreal proper, just on the other side of the river. So when we are leaving the arena, we will try and tell you.
Yep.
So that you've got about probably 20 minutes. We'll find out on Thursday.
Yeah, we still have to figure out scheduling and, how late we're staying up recording.
Yeah, and also how long it's going to take us to actually get from the arena to our Airbnb. Google Maps says one thing. I don't trust Google Maps all the time.
Yeah. All this to say, it's still kind of up in the air, but we will have stuff going on from the competition and something in podcast form.
Yes. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you find all of the live streaming videos.
Yep.
And also make sure you're following us on Twitter, especially.
Yep. That's our main form of communication.
I will also try and post in our Instagram story when we're doing it. I might forget. So follow us on Twitter.
Yep. All right. And we will see you there at Skate Canada in a very short time. All right, so thank you all for listening, and please let us know your thoughts about this week in figure skating at fletzescast@gmail.com. You can also follow us at Fletzescast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for even more skating content.
Check out our website, fletzescast.wordpress.com, for episode guides and other fun stuff. And if you like what we do, consider leaving us a review wherever you're listening. We'll be back very shortly with Skate Canada, but until then, keep a watchful eye out for those Flutzes and Waxels skating fans.